Hi, I'm Michael. I'm one of the peers leaders at Amazing Skills, and this is my friend Sherry Ann.
Hi, I'm Sherry Ann, and I'm also one of the peers leaders of Amazing Skills.
Awesome. Well, today we want to show you the shortest, most brief introduction to here's what your child learns in the peers course. It is an amazing course. It's been around for about 15 years. It's done in about 30 countries, and it really helps kids with autism learn how to interact with others. Sherry Ann, what is it that you love most about teaching the peers course and the interactions you have with kids in the peers course?
I love watching the growth. I notice that young people go from feeling a little bit shy and not sure to feeling really confident about having a conversation with their peers towards the end. And I also love in a session that I can talk to what are the rules I break to help children see that this is just normal. There are rules and everybody breaks them, and we just have to be aware of them.
That's right. So the idea is we have social rules, and they're not unbreakable. We can choose to switch on our social skills or switch them off, but there are things that work in the real world and there are things that don't work when we're trying to make friends. So let's have a look at what those social formulas are. Let's have a look at that. So I'm just sharing my screen here. This is off our website. This is a page that we send the psychologists or the speech therapists or occupational therapists when they want to know what we're doing with the kids that they're working with. Week one, it's a 14-week course. Week one, we look at how to start a conversation, because starting a conversation is the key to making friendships. I guess the social rules with starting conversations is that we need to ask the other person questions, and if they don't answer, we need to answer our own questions. Okay, so Sherry Ann, let's you and I have a very quick conversation as if we've just seen each other in the schoolyard. Oh, hi, Sherry Ann.
Oh, hey, Michael, how are you today?
Okay, she asked me a question. Okay, socially normal, I'm doing pretty well. And then now I need to ask her a question because that's how the social game goes. I'm doing pretty well. What have you been up to?
Oh, I went for a walk this morning and I had a really good coffee. Oh, what have you
Oh,
been doing today?
good work. Okay, so she's asking me questions. This is a very easy conversation. And so I guess she's asked me a question. And now if I answer her question, but if I don't ask her a question back, socially, she's allowed to answer her own question. Okay, so I'll just sort of block her question. Her question to me was, what have I been doing? Is that what the question was?
I think so.
Okay, let's imagine it was. I would say, if I was to say to her, oh, not much, it's pretty early in the morning, haven't had time to do much. And then I don't ask her a question back. I just leave it at that. And then what then, Sharon?
Oh, I love to get down to them too. When I'm not doing much, I'm usually watching TV or sitting outside having a coffee. It just depends on how I'm feeling. What's your favorite thing when you're not doing much to be doing?
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's quality. So I didn't actually ask her the question back, but she has permission in social world to answer her own question as if I had, because that's normal and that's what we do socially. So we could keep going, and then she tapped into one of my answers and asked me a deeper question about one of my answers. Okay, so that's like step one. How do you start a conversation? And it's not that hard, but when someone shows you the formula, it's easy. But if you're a child or a teen with autism and you're not picking up the social formulas or social rules by osmosis, this is a big help. And then Sharon, let's have a look at session two. Session two is how do I keep that conversation on track? And there's a lot in this. Session two is one of my favorite weeks of the peers course, because simple little things that you and I as adults go, oh, that's simple. Here's the things that we need to do. I need to not brag. It's like, oh, yesterday I fixed a fence. Sherry Ann doesn't care that I fixed a fence, but I feel really proud that I fixed a fence. So I can tell her I fixed a fence, but I can't be like, I'm awesome at fixing fences, because that's bragging. Also, if Sherry Ann's like, oh, I ate some chocolate before, I can't say to her, oh, you shouldn't eat too much
It's
chocolate.
7 o'clock in the morning.
You shouldn't eat chocolate at 7 o'clock in the morning. No, because if I do that, I'm being the police. Like, that's not my job. And so we've got these sort of things that we would look at. Now, not every child's going to use every one of these social skills all the time, because it's their choice. That's the magic of the peers course. It's your child's choice. They can, if they want, they can choose to keep doing things as they have been. But these are the things that will work
Can
in
I just
reality.
pick on one of those,
Go
Michael?
for it.
We say use good eye contact, and eye contact is really important, but eye contact doesn't necessarily mean staring into somebody's eyes. It can mean that I'm looking at their forehead or I'm looking at their cheek, just as long as I'm giving them that contact to show them that I'm looking and I'm interested in what they're saying. We're covering that rule.
Yeah, that's right. And we're not forcing kids to do what they can't do. Not all the kids we work with are going to be able to do that. And that's okay. But let's see what they can do. They might not be able to use that one very well, but they can say, learn to not be the police,
They might be able to listen really well.
That's right. Also eye contact is not this. Okay, which is like another error kids will make when they're first learning skills. Eye contact is like, say 70% of the time you're just looking, or 50% of the time you're looking at their eyes. Okay, let's have a look at session 3. Oh, I love this one. I say that about everyone. Shireen, what do you love about the session on where to look for friends so that our kids are actually looking in the right places?
It's really good. It's really good because sometimes finding friends is the biggest challenge. And so we're tapping into what are my interests so that I can go and find somebody who can be a friend who has some similar interests to me. And we make that really easy by giving some suggestions for places to go looking.
That's right. So if you're a child who loves sport, like you're 15, you love sport, it doesn't make sense to go and try and make friends in the library because they like books, you like sport. That's not going to work. Or if you love music, you don't go and make friends at the Oval. Okay, the sporty kid wants to go and play at the Oval. That's where they're most likely to make friends. The child who loves music is going to make friends at the music room. The child who just wants their own space to read a book, hang out with someone at the library. So make friends in a good spot. We also look in that third session at are people accepting me or rejecting me? How can I tell? And yeah, and it's not that hard. Session 4, actually, sorry, Sharon, this is one of my favorite ones. Let's have a look. How do I send text messages? How do I do phone calls? How do I do electronic communication? What is it about this that our young people need to really know?
Oh, how to leave a voice message. I don't know how you feel like it, Michael, but every single time I leave a voice message, I'm like, oh, was that awkward? Was that just fine? And
I didn't know that. I feel the same way.
The age of technology where we can just pick up our phone and really easily send a text, it's so much easier to send a text, but there are going to be moments in every single one of our kids or young people's lives that are they're going to need to leave a voicemail message. I leave probably about 20 messages a day, at least on voicemail.
Not the same person, you're not a stalker.
No, I'm not a stalker. No, it's all different people because I live on the phone. So our young people, it's a really important skill that they aren't going to get anywhere else.
That's right. And there are social norms with our electronic communication, like say text messaging. A lot of our 13, 14, 15-year-old kids have just got their mobile phone and they're making a lot of errors, okay? Little things that you and I would think are obvious, like don't send photos of yourself that you're not happy to see everywhere, because once you send it to someone else, they're going to do what they want with the photo. Things like, if I text Sherry Ann, I can text her between say 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. I can't text her after 9 p.m. It's socially not okay. Like it doesn't work. Or if I send Sherry Ann a text message now and she doesn't respond straight away, well, I need to give her time to see it. Or if a couple of hours goes by, I can send a second text message, just sort of going, hey, did you remember that? Whatever it was. I can't send Sherry Ann 47 text messages.
Don't spam.
Don't spam.
Would be the technical term for our teenagers these days. Don't spam them.
That's right. But they don't know until it is. That's right. Until they learn that social etiquette, that social rule, they're going to do that because it doesn't make sense to them why Sharon isn't responding. Let me share my screen again. That one. So this is week 5. Week 5 is pretty important, especially for our guys. Like,
oh my goodness, yep.
I mean, it's also our girls, but like it's our guys who socially they're making errors because their role models are making errors. Their role models can get away with it, but when they make errors, it's sort of a bit more of a social blunder. So when we look at like what are the rules of humor, rules like humor needs to be not at the expense of others, otherwise you hurt your reputation long term. Humor needs to be, you don't joke with someone in authority. Like if the policeman pulls you over, you don't make fun of him. The principal, you don't make fun of him. He's in authority. Okay. Little things like give a courtesy laugh. It's like, Sherry Ann, tell me a joke that's not funny. or that you think is funny. Either way.
Oh no. Where are my joke cards when I need them?
How about I'll tell you a joke and then you can
please
go and
do.
laugh. Oh, Sherry-Ann, why'd the chicken cross the road?
I don't know.
To get to the other side.
Uh-huh.
So that was a courtesy laugh. She doesn't actually think it's funny because it's not, but it's just like a gentle. It just lets people know that we're funny, and also not everyone loves jokes. So we want to read our audience.
It's also being careful about the layers of people that you tell jokes to. You have to pick your audience really carefully. I tell a story, Michael, where I didn't pick my audience. There was someone I didn't know, and I was accidentally having a joke at their expense. They were a little bit upset with me.
It's not a fun feeling, is it? But you're switched on enough to realize, oops, I've just broken the social rules of jokes. You know, we live and
we
learn.
Fixed it. We became good friends.
Okay, that's good. Oh, there you go. There's a courtesy laugh. It's not actually that funny that you nearly lost a friend before you made it, but it is. There's your courtesy laugh. All right. Oh, entering group conversations. I don't want to keep saying one of my favorites. It's one of the most effective, things that we teach kids. Now, to enter a group conversation, you basically have to do the opposite of what your school teacher told you to do. Because in the real world, going up to someone and being like, hello, I'm Michael. What's your name? Like, what goes through your head, Sherry? I want to do that.
Hi.
Sort of awkward, right?
Yeah, it was very awkward.
But that's what we're told to do by our school teachers. And you and I are both school teachers. We know that we've said that before to kids. But there's a better way. And the better way is if Sherry-Ann's chatting with, I don't know, her new friend who she nearly lost with a bad joke. I walk up and I don't interact directly. I just do something with a prop. So I might have my phone out, or if I'm a student, I might just be bouncing my basketball. I listen to what they're saying. You know, what might you guys be talking about?
Probably Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Okay. I'll listen to what they're saying. That's a TV show, right? Just
it is a TV show.
Okay. I'm on fire today. All right. So
you are.
I just broke the don't brag rule. Anyway, so I walk up, I'm using my prop, and there's my prop. And I hear they're saying that, and I go, oh, I love TV shows too. What other TV shows do you guys love? And then what might you say if I said that, Sherry-Ann?
Probably The Good Doctor or The Big Bang Theory.
Okay. So cool.
Yeah. What do you like to watch, Michael?
Oh, good work. Good work. She's like, good work. From session 1. Okay. So it's like, I didn't go up and introduce myself and shake hands and say hi or something weird. I just walked up and made a comment. There's just a comment, just threw it out there on the topic that they're talking about. Okay. Simple.
And we've just hit a really important note, is that we also are looking all the way along the way at how do we know if we're actually accepted into that group or that conversation, or how do we know if they're rejecting us? Because and when we're rejected, like really it happens to us half the time, whether we are neurotypical or not, doesn't matter who you are. We get rejected, and the reasons that we get rejected are actually not a reflection of us. Sometimes there are valid reasons, like it's a personal conversation, or there are details that the people don't want to share outside. So it's all good. Also, we need to know what to do when we get there.
Yeah. So if we walk up to them, we see that, you know, they haven't turned their shoulders towards us after a comment or two, they're actually wanting their own space. We let them have their own space. We don't make that mean we have to melt down. It's like you just said, who cares? There's other people I can go and try and talk to. I go off and try again. Right. And if I try a couple of times and I feel a bit demoralized, I can always go to the library. Okay. So
and that session 7 is all about exiting conversations and keeping our cool when we're doing it. Because what we're wanting those people to have a positive interaction with us, whether we're accepted or not. So keeping our cool, looking and turning away before we disappear, and also having a cover story as to why we're leaving.
That's right.
It's all good.
It is. So exiting conversation is a skill, because if right now in the middle of this conversation, I don't know. How'd you feel when I did that?
Confused.
Well, there'd be something wrong if you didn't, wouldn't there? Yeah. Like it is weird. Like you just disappeared. What happened? You know? So there's actually a skill of a cover story. A cover story can be a true cover story. It doesn't have to be made up. Oh, I actually need to go and do some stuff over there. I'll catch you later. You know,
Or I have an assignment to do when I've really got to go home.
that's right. Or my mum would be expecting me to be home by now. Don't want to let her down. I'm out of here. You know, it's like, how do you actually exit a conversation? And we literally spend a session on how to do that, because we want our kids to not be socially awkward, and not knowing how to leave a conversation or wrap up a phone call is socially awkward. Oh, this one's a big one. How to do get-togethers. I'll bet 2/3 of the parents watching this are like, my child never has anyone invite them to their place. You know, my child doesn't get invited to birthday parties or stuff like that. And it's like, there's actually some formulas for how to do social get-togethers. For teenagers, you don't want to say play dates. That's what kids do. We say get-togethers. Look, long story short, get-togethers work with a bit of planning and a bit of courage, because your child needs to be a bit courageous. And there are simple things that work and things that are basically guaranteed to fail. Like if you just invite a friend over and they come and you spend 3 hours at your place without a plan, that's not going to work. Okay.
But also, you can't just make a plan in your head. You have to actually tell them. And that is a mistake that is more common than you might realize, is making a plan. Our kids can go through the who, what, when, where, why, how, and then forget to tell the other person. So we've got to make sure that we communicate.
That's right. And little things like, I mean, yeah, you want to work that out, but also little things like when your guest gets to the front door, you invite them in, you introduce them to your sister, you show them where the bathroom is, you offer them some food or drink, and then you ask them what they want to do. Give them some options. You know, do you want to watch a movie or do you want to play the PlayStation? Like, but those things that you're offering, they're things that you know you can handle socially. You know, like it's a big ask to ask someone to hang out with you and have a conversation for an hour when you don't have those skills yet. It's a small thing. It's an easier thing to be like, let's play some games. Easy, you know. But this is one where mums and dads are a big help, because they're the ones who actually can make this happen. And keep the get together short. Long story short, the first couple of ones, keep them really short, like less than an hour or an hour.
I love what Will says, Michael. Will says that with get-togethers, you plan it so that it's going to be less than your maximum.
Yeah, good call.
So that you leave on a high note. It doesn't have the opportunity to get to the point where you feel overwhelmed and you feel like it was too much.
Yeah, that's right. And it's like, these are things that we need to trust mum's judgment on, you know. And then session 9, session 10, we do a little bit different to how others do this course, because obviously we've adapted our course to an Australian context in a big way. So we let parents choose whether their child is going to do pre-dating skills, not dating skills, pre-dating skills, you know, just getting the confidence and not being awkward about the fact that sometime next couple of years, people are going to ask me on a date, or vice versa. We can go down that path, or because that's more peers for young adults, we've just adapted it more for our teens by softening it, making it lower level. Or the other path, because we've got a lot of younger kids doing this course. The other path is we can do sportsmanship skills. Like when I'm playing, how do I be part of a team if I'm part of a soccer team, or how do I play a game of chess with Sherry Ann? And if I'm losing, how do I make sure that I present myself well? You know, so that's session 9, session 10. We've adapted that because that's what our parents are asking for, and that's what our kids need. Okay, so long story short, we're not going to be doing anything awkward with your child if we're doing pre-dating skills. It's just simple, low-level things. How do I talk to girls? How do I talk to guys? How do I not get myself in a situation where I'm going to be socially teased or where I'm going to be unsafe? And then, handling disagreements, Sharon. This is always fun, especially when you've got a bunch of kids who we actually create a spot where they can disagree with each other, which is like it's like a really fun environment, but you've got to make sure it's well handled. Okay, what is it about not creating disagreements, dealing with disagreements that you love or that you think is particularly important?
There are 2 really big things in handling disagreements. The first is keeping your cool. And this comes back to that notion that even if I am infuriated on the inside, I need to be level on the outside and keep my cool on the outside, because when I keep my cool, people are more likely to listen to me. The second thing is listening, making sure you're really listening to what the other person is saying because when you're really listening to what the other person is saying, you can respond appropriately. Now, does that mean that you're going to agree 100% of the time? No, you might not agree at the end, but sometimes, depending on the situation, there might be some compromise that needs to happen. And so we work out a little bit of what I want, a little bit of what they want, and that's okay. And we have to resolve to being okay. And also coming back to friendship is a choice. And if I choose that I'm not going to keep going down this path of friendship, that's okay. But also knowing that there can be resolution at the end of a disagreement where we don't totally agree.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, this is a big call. We're talking to 14-year-olds or 24-year-olds about, you know, like, you don't have to get your own way in every conversation, because the relationship matters more than whatever it is we're talking about.
Yeah.
Which is a big call. And we're asking them to regulate their own emotions while they have that conversation. It's not something they're going to learn in a day. But if they know what the social rules are, like you're saying, of listen to the other person, if they're a bit older, might even repeat back to them what their main point is and go, look, I get you saying this. But also it's like, these are skills that can be learned, but it's going to take a bit of practice with mum. You know, like it's not like having a day. But most kids with autism, the majority of them, once they know the social formula, and once they've practiced it once in a safe environment, they've got it. They just need time to use it. And then session 12 and session 13, handling direct bullying and handling indirect bullying. I mustn't have had a photo of something fun there, so I've put a photo of me out there. Okay, so slightly awkward, isn't it? Only to me, not to anyone else. Okay, so handling direct bullying, it's like your child gets bullied a lot. Let's be honest. Okay. Now the research is that socially successful people and socially unsuccessful people are generally being teased at about a similar level, not exact, but a similar level. So the most popular kid in the school, he's having people make jokes about him, but he's handling it really well. He's laughing with them or deflecting it or putting it back on them. Whereas the person who's a bit more awkward socially, they don't know how to do that. But handling direct bullying, it's a skill. You can learn it. There's all these different formulas we can show your child. Long story short, if someone's making fun of you, you shut the conversation down, you walk away. Okay. You don't just walk away. You know, again, that's terrible school teacher advice.
You don't shut the conversation down by getting upset. You shut the conversation down by using what we call a clever comeback. So Michael, can you just say something really mean to me, please?
I can. It feels weird, but I can. Oh, Sherry-Ann, that purple top looks too purple.
So what?
Oh, Sherry-Ann, like that microphone that you're wearing, like that looks 5 years old.
Are you having a bad day?
Okay, she's just shut it down. Like she didn't leave me with the social power of he got to own that social situation and now I look silly. She shut it down. She sort of made me look silly. And off she goes. She wrapped up the conversation and she's not even back yet. Okay. So, oh, you are. And it's like, she took the social power back. Okay. And it's not always going to be a good look. Sometimes you'll do it badly or sometimes it just won't work. But either way, the bully then's like, oh, I probably won't have another crack at making fun of Sherry. And it didn't work last time, you know? But again, it's what we break it down to formulas and we train mum or dad, you know, here's what we're teaching your child so that they can reinforce things well at home. Session 13, indirect bullying. Bullying that's a bit more subtle. Sherry-Ann, what goes through your head when I'm like, oh, indirect bullying?
Thanks, Michael.
She's like, oh, yeah, sure. Just throw a question at me when
I'm like, I'm looking,
think about.
I'm thinking about the difference between physical, to be honest. So cyberbullying, it can be easier in theory to shut down. The rules make it sound so much easier, but it requires a lot of self-control because we're just going to block them. You know, we're going to start by avoiding it. We're going to start by not responding. Don't react to it because anything you feed gives the opportunity for it to get bigger. So we don't want it to become big. We want to shut it down really quick. So we're not going to give them anything. We're not going to respond. Now, one of the cool things we can do in a group setting on like a PlayStation network or an online forum, because indirect bullying is all about that online stuff. We can surround ourselves with a group of people we know. If we know we're playing at the same time, if someone we don't know comes in and starts to tease, everybody else can stick up for me. So I can stay quiet, but I know that everybody else is going to jump on top of that. And so there's the rules there up on the screen. And the really the big thing is blocking. But before we block, we're going to save everything that they've said if we know the person, because that's our evidence.
That's right. And I mean, long story short is we're not going to engage with the indirect bullying. Okay, just like for the direct bullying, Sherry-Ann shut me down, bam, off she goes. She's walked away. Indirect bullying, you don't feed the trolls, you don't react, you don't let the drama build. Okay. And then in the real world, indirect bullying would be more rumors or gossip. Like if Sherry-Ann, like if her response to me, if I was to say to her, oh, I heard that yesterday, I don't know, what's something I could say? Yesterday, you
had Jason over yesterday.
Sorry, what's that?
You had Jason over yesterday, and I heard you really like Jason.
You had Jason over, and like he's your boyfriend now. Like, I mean, if I go, look, if I create some gossip there, what's a potential good response for that sort of gossip?
I could wait and just hold on to it until I was in a group, just in a place where there were lots of people around, and I was with a friend, and I could say, oh my goodness, did you hear that everyone said that I was really interested in Jason? I can't believe people would think that. Where did they get that from? It's all about the delivery of that message, though. If I am really aggravated about it and I'm loud and I'm over the top, people aren't going to respond. But if I do it in a really calm, collective way, where I sound a little bit surprised, a little bit shocked, even if the rumor is true, I can do that. Takes a bit of self-control, but that gossip is going to spread then, because I've just created gossip about myself. And so there are going to be ears around that space that heard and go back and say, oh my goodness, did you hear what Sherry-Ann said the other day?
That's right.
And it shuts down.
That's absolutely. And we want to be just like, I can't believe people said that. Like, what's wrong with people? You know, and if we respond by getting upset, we've made things harder. But you know, like, so that's our indirect bullying. And then we also we also adapt the course a bit for our kids, because we have a lot of younger kids. A lot of people who do this course, they're aiming at people in their 20s, whereas the majority of the people we work with are between, say, 13 and 19. We look at, okay, so how do I then be confident in the real world? How do I take the skills I've learned and be confident in the real world? And when we do this course with kids, it is a fun experience. Okay, by the end of the course, they have made genuine friends in their group. They feel good about that, and they've got the skills to go and do it in the real world. Now, as part of this course, we also train mum and dad. You know, Sherry-Ann, what do you see most in the parent sessions that the parents are looking for when they come to those parent sessions and we're saying, hi, this week and next week, here's the skills we're teaching your child, and here's how you can reinforce that at home?
That's a great question, Michael. I'm just processing.
I can see that. Sorry. So the parents, what do they get out of those sessions? It's not
they get a lot of learning. I took a call the other day and someone said to me, oh, look, I don't want to do a parenting course with my child. I just want my child to do the course. And that's good. It's not a parenting course, though. This is where we're equipping ourselves. And, you know, all people can get something out of the content here. But what they get most, I think, is they actually build a relationship with their child a little bit more, because you're breaking down. We're put in a position where we have to interact a little bit more, because we practice the skills at home. We need to practice the skills at home. And so it just deepens that relationship a little bit, and it encourages good conversation. The number of times I've heard parents say, oh my goodness, my son or my daughter asked me how my day was the other day. They have never done that before. So that's really valuable.
Yeah. And then mum or dad are ready. So let's imagine if it's, say, week 1 or week 2, when we're teaching how to start a conversation, how to keep it going. And then our child gets in the car after school, and then they literally initiate for us, you know, what did you get up to today at school? I mean, what did you get up today at work, mum? if mum doesn't know that that's what we're covering, then she'd be like, it wouldn't be the miracle to her that it is, and she won't put the time and energy into engaging with it. So if she knows, oh, that's what they're covering, she can do that. Like, she can follow that up. So the benefit of those parent sessions is we're not turning up going, here's how you parent, because I mean, who is Sherry Ann and I, you know, like we got kids, but we're no one to tell someone else how to parent. We're there to go, here's what your child is learning. Here are the specific strategies we're teaching your child. And then it means that you can either chat with your child about that, or when you're watching a movie together, you can just pause the movie and go, hey, they just use such and such social skill. How good's that? You know? So long story short, this course Peers, it is amazing for kids with autism or teens with autism, even young adults. We both work at Amazing Skills. That's amazingskills.com.au. And we do this using Zoom in little mini groups of kids so that they learn. The success rate for the kids we work with is about 90%. 90% of the kids who do this course are going to have genuine long-term social skill enhancement that lasts. You know, about 10% of our kids, they'll still get an impact, but it won't be life-changing. Other things that parents would need to know is that it's not something your child will dread. Okay, they dread going to OT, they dread going to speech or psych, you know, not all the time, but after a couple of months, they're going to dread it. Whereas this, they look forward to seeing people, you know, and some of our kids.
The greatest thing?
What's that?
The greatest thing, Michael. We've had someone come back from Sick Agent Society earlier in the year to do peers with us now. And
sorry, I think your audio just went funny. What you said there was someone who'd done a previous course with us, Secret Agent Society, and then after that,
they've just started peers with us, and they were totally confident just to be who they were in their group, and everyone just welcomed them for who they were.
That's so good, you know, and so we're creating that environment where that's normal, and then once your child's experienced that, they can do it in the real world. But yeah, just if you're doing this course with a provider, make sure they're super adaptable. Make sure they're all about what your child needs, not about what their program does. Okay, and a spot to find that would be amazingskills.com.au. And then Sherry Ann and myself or David or Naomi or one of our leaders is going to be able to help your child.